How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana scores a critical win in overtime. 78-77 is the final score. They knock off Wisconsin here at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. The Hoosiers turned in a solid performance and may have been gifted one a little bit because offensive foul called on Wisconsin late in overtime. I have some questions about. And, yeah, it went Indiana's way, but I also have a demand that officials get things right, and I don't know that they did on that play because I felt Connor Enright initiated the contact. Even Connor Enright said he had low confidence that he was going to get that call, but he got it. And that's the Big Ten, and that is playing in the Big Ten. Some of the officiating can sometimes be a little bit odd. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. 812-393-2600 is the number. I want to hear from you about this ball game because there's a ton to talk about. Indiana turned what should have been an easy win into a much more difficult task than they needed to. But to Indiana's credit, just 5 3-pointers made on the day. And yet they still win because they decided we're going inside. And they changed the way that they normally play, and it ended up helping them. And they end up scoring the victory. Really, really important, critical win for Indiana because you got to take care of your home court. Look, Indiana is a mediocre team. Wisconsin is a mediocre team. They played a mediocre basketball game. But the key is you win your games at home, try to steal them on the road. Hoosiers did just that and also got some really nice performances out of a couple of guys, including Sam Alexis, who had 19 points and 9 of 10 shooting and kind of showed what he could do on the low block, and that is really important. Lines are open. Can't wait to hear from you. Let's start with just a couple of things that are already on the chat. Reed says, win or lose today, DeBreeze has given us a team we could be proud of again. Great win for IU, and that is one thing the Hoosiers don't quit battling. You know, they allowed a double-digit lead to dwindle away, but they didn't roll over. You know, they had to play an overtime game for the second time in the last 3 games. You don't want to be put in that position, but sometimes that's what you have to deal with. And the Hoosiers did a nice job of working with that. Plant says, I love that Indiana won, but their last field goal came with 6:07 left in the second half, none in OT. They have to figure out how to score in late games with a lead outside of free throws. You know, Darren DeBreeze was asked about that, about what changed for Indiana offensively late in that game along the way, and you'll be able to hear that. I'll play him in just a little bit. But the Hoosiers, in overtime, they did make one field goal, 1 of 8 shooting, and still managed to win because they were 4 of 4 from the free throw line. Also out-rebounded Wisconsin 7-2 in that extra session. So that was really important as well. On the game, both teams grabbed 37 rebounds. Indiana, they ran some nice offense at times. And it was interesting because at different times, some different players took center stage. I would say. For a little while, it was Connor Enright who was getting the job done. A little while, it was Sam Alexis. A little while, it was Lamar Wilkerson. Being able to have different options like that is really important for a team. Nick Dorn, meanwhile, a guy who has been playing well, he's held scoreless in 27 minutes, only attempted 4 shots, and had 2 rebounds. Nothing else really coming from Nick Dorn. But the fact that they were able to then find somebody else, Sam Alexis, to step up is really important, as is the fact that Indiana had 4 of their starters score at least 11 points in this one, and that made a huge difference. 812-393-2600 is the number. Work here is in the postgame at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall continues. You can still have some players walking around on the court. Again, we talked after the game with Sam Alexis and Connor Enright and just about what they saw. And both of them mentioned along the way that they're seniors, a lot of older guys on this team, and that they feel a sense of urgency. I don't know that we always see that on the court, but we did at times today, and that made a difference in this one. Indiana has to find a way to not let these late game leads escape. I think they were up by 10 with 1:50 left at UCLA, ended up scoring a tight win in that one. This game, let's see, Indiana's largest lead in this one was 14. They were up by 14 with 8:26 to play in the first half. Meanwhile, Wisconsin was up by 4 with 57 seconds left to play. And IU came back and managed to score the victory. I give them credit for a lot of grit and battling to try to get to the end of this one and score the win, and they did it. I thought they played really well defensively. I thought that their effort when it came to running offense at times, not always, but at times, that it just really did a nice job of setting up back cuts, of moving the ball, of not letting the ball get stagnant, and then other times it did. So it's that inconsistency that is a challenge for this Hoosier team. I know that the Enright call in OT was so critical. And on Twitter, I mentioned that Big Ten officials have absolutely no clue what a blocker charge is anymore. Enright initiated that contact. He was moving and leaning the whole way. It worked out, but that wasn't an offensive foul, and I still believe that. And whenever you watch those replays, and people are like, well, the offensive player extended his arm. He extended his arm. The shove doesn't make a difference. It does. It does make a difference, because Enright initiated the contact. He didn't get there and have the offensive player run into him. Enright went into him first, and then the arm extended after that. Again, I have my feelings about blocks and charges. That I don't think that is a play that should be. Especially underneath the basket. Out on the perimeter, I don't mind it as much, but under the basket, you can't. But to me, it's just, you had that call. You had, at one point, Sam Alexis had the ball in both hands, fell backwards, both feet came up, and somehow that wasn't a travel. Indiana, I felt, benefited from some calls today, and I have, Lord knows, over the years, I have bitched a lot about Big Ten officiating and what it was that it calls that Indiana hasn't gotten along the way. Sometimes it works out in your favor. I really feel that was the time that this was a time when officiating really helped the Hoosiers quite a bit, but give them credit for making the plays down the stretch. 812-393-2600 is the number. I am gathering along the way that Greg Gard is complaining about some of the fouls, and again, that's fair. So there's that, but it is just really a nice job by this Hoosier team to bounce back from that loss at USC, take on a Wisconsin team that isn't great, but they're 8-3 in the Big Ten, and you got to protect your home court. Indiana managed to do that and got up, again, by 14 points in the first half. Couldn't sustain it, but they did sustain enough for a win in overtime. Looking at the first, at some of the stats, let's start there. Lamar Wilkerson leads the Hoosiers, 25 points on 8 of 20 shooting, just 1 of 8 from three-point range, though. Made all 8 of his free throws, including the game winners. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, had a block and a steal in 41 minutes. Obviously, Indiana's best player on the floor, and yet those 25 points felt somewhat quiet, because there wasn't like a run when Wilkerson took over that we've seen before. But still, when you are consistently producing over 41 minutes, you're putting points on the board. You're going to hear DeBreeze talk about how he thinks his future will be at the next level here in just a little bit. Sam Alexis, huge reason why Indiana won today. 19 points on 9 of 10 shooting, made his 1 free throw attempt, 7 rebounds, had 1 assist, only 1 turnover, 5 blocks on the day, 34 minutes. Alexis was operating inside. I mean, they fed him the ball and they cleared out and they let him go to work. That's not something we've really seen from this Hoosier team to this point. And so being able to get that kind of production from him is incredibly important because it gives Indiana some post balance that it has been missing. You've seen it pop up every now and again. Reed Bailey will score some points, but it doesn't feel like that happens a lot in terms of getting a guy the ball in the post and letting him operate in the post. Guys, the bigs have been scoring on putbacks or just dishes right to the bucket. This was different. This was Alexis backing guys down, looking to score inside, and he answered the call when it came. Give him a lot of credit for that. Tucker DeBreeze, 16 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 7 from three-point range, 3 of 4 from the free throw line. He added 8 rebounds and assists, had 3 turnovers, but 2 blocks in 45 minutes. Those are big numbers for him to play, but he finished the game with 2 fouls. And I think his first foul came very, very late. And so when you're able to stay out of foul trouble and you're a veteran leader like that, that's really important for a team. Connor Enright, 11 points on 5 of 11 shooting, had 4 rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers in 39 minutes. He was plus 5 to lead the Hoosiers, actually tied with Lamar Wilkerson. But, Enright, he has been more aggressive. I love that there's 11 shot attempts there because when he is aggressive, when he's building confidence and even scoring inside, that really forces opponents to defend yet another area. When you're talking about having a 2,000-point scorer in Tucker DeBreeze, a guy who can light up like Lamar Wilkerson, a guy like Nick Dorn, who was scoreless today, but he had himself he demands attention from opponents at this point due to some of his recent performances. And then when Sam Alexis has given you, 19 on 9 of 10 shooting, it really creates a lot of headaches for an opponent. Off the bench, Josiah Miles, 4 points on 2 of 6 shooting. He added 5 rebounds in 25 minutes. Reed Bailey, just 1 point, 1 rebound in 11 minutes. He was plus 6. He actually led the team in plus minus. He was plus 6. But Reed was struggling today. And I know we've seen that a lot. And, I don't know what exactly, if you're Darren DeBreeze, that you do about it, because you're running out of time to really see substantial improvement in that area. And so Alexis is just clearly the better option, especially against, this Wisconsin team that isn't blessed with great athleticism or great any quickness and speed inside. Alexis, they rode the hot hand, and I do give DeVries credit for identifying who that hot hand is and running with him, whether it's Bailey in some games, whether it's Alexis. I feel like he's been doing a pretty good job of kind of making that balance. Trent Sisley plays 4 minutes, gets 2 points, had a couple of rebounds and assists. He had a turnover. Indiana with just 8 turnovers on the day. They had 13 assists on 30 made baskets, and that's unusual for the Hoosiers because normally they are very, very efficient and passes lead to buckets, but that isn't how this one played out. And so you have to find a different way to score, to play, when your main weapon, which is shooting from beyond the arc, isn't working. Hoosiers 5 of 22 from three-point range. I could check real quick, but I believe that's probably a season low in terms of made threes and possibly attempted threes as well. So I will look that up while DeVries is doing his post-game press conference. Bring you that audio right now. Again, it was important to win the game, a critical game to win, especially coming off that loss to USC, and when you have Oregon coming in Monday, I believe it is. But it is you got to protect your home court, and that is utterly critical for a success of a team. Here's Darren DeVries. He's going to be talking here now for, what is the time here? About 6 minutes. So here's Darren DeVries during his post-game press conference.
Yeah, Coach, obviously a lot of different guys contributed today. I'm curious about your thoughts on Lamar, not just today, the 25 points, but the way he's been playing in Big Ten play. averaging 23, I think it was, coming in. Just your thoughts on what he's been giving you guys all season.
Yeah, Lamar's, he's an elite player. And I even think from a pro standpoint, I think he's, one of those guys that people aren't talking about enough because he's going to play in that league for a long, long time. He has all the things you need, the intangibles, in addition to, he has that one skill that everybody wants, and he can throw them in there. So, and he's a winner. I love everything about him, and he continues to showcase, what makes him so special.
Exactly, Mike.
It's kind of a simplistic question, but you have played some of these close games, Purdue, UCLA, now this one. Just what is a team that's already got a lot of experience, but maybe is trying to navigate this into the season together for the first time, get out of winning this way specifically?
Yeah, I think it's great. And I even mentioned, earlier we went to Puerto Rico and we had a game we got down 20, meaningless game like we talked about, and we were able to come back and win, on the last second shot. And that was where you saw a little bit of these dudes don't quit. They just keep competing, they keep fighting. And I think you saw it again tonight. There's some things I think we'd like to clean up a little bit. You get a double-digit lead there late. We don't need to go to overtime. So but again, they found a way. They didn't give into it. They kept fighting. They kept in the huddles, encouraging one another, and I think that's a sign of a veteran team. They didn't panic, inside the huddle. They just knew you just got to make that next play, and they were able to do that.
Mike and Daniel.
Yeah, with the charge, you've talked about Connor Enright making winning plays. Another example. What did you kind of expect in that moment, and what did you see from that play?
Yeah, I thought, again, we were trying to get a quick trap, see if we could get a quick steal. We thought we had enough time to try to take a few chances there and keep, if we could get them sped up, try to get one first. And Connor just does what he does. He just keeps competing, keeps fighting, and that was a huge play for us.
Daniel and Pete.
Right before Lamar hit the layup late, I think the last time IU hit a shot was about 5.5 minutes left in regulation. Offensively, just what do you think happened? Why did the shots stop falling? Just what changed in your eyes?
Some of them that I thought Wisconsin did a good job keeping us in front of them in front of us a little bit better as that half went on. So, a few of them we just missed. And that's it's life, right? I thought we had a few clean looks in there. I thought Lamar and Nick had a few looks from three that, I'll take those every night. They just didn't make them. And that's, like I said earlier, though, the thing about it, a night like tonight where you're 5 for 22 from three, typically for the way, where our roster's kind of built and how we're playing, that's a hard night for us. And we were able to win that game because we held them to 38% from the field. So our defense did just enough. And there's times in there where it wasn't great, but again, the defense did just enough to get the stops we needed when we needed them to allow us to win that game.
Yeah, Darren, two things. One, the way Alexis played, especially from halftime on, and then the way Tucker came through, and he flirted with a double-double, didn't quite get it, but the way those two played.
Yeah, I thought Sam was tremendous that second half, and we were able to take advantage of a few switches. That's why they were able to stay in front of us a little better. They were switching a little more, but then we were able to throw it inside, and I thought the guys did a good job. We ran a few things to try to get it to him, but they got it to him, and then Sam did the rest from there. So, he had 5 blocks, I believe, on the game, 8 rebounds. That's a big night. And then, I thought Tucker just, again, he's our connector out there, 45 minutes and 8 rebounds and, knocked some shots down tonight. So I thought both those guys just, did a really good job of, playing through it. Tucker's obviously a lot of minutes, and then Sam just a role that maybe he hasn't had a lot of this year, but he was able to take on that role, take advantage of what they were doing, and go make some plays.
You mentioned the three-point shots not falling. When they aren't, and you guys put up 44 points in the paint, how important is that moving forward for the rest of the year?
Yeah, and we've really been trying to do that a lot more here this last 5-6 games. We felt like there's a couple games in there where we just weren't being aggressive enough driving the ball, even though we don't maybe have a lot of wiggle to our with some of our ball handlers. I thought the guys have been doing a much better job of just finding creases to get in there, finish at the rim, get fouled, and then get some kick out threes. So it wasn't we weren't as reliant on it. Like a lot of nights we were up in that 30 range, in attempts, and tonight we were in the 22. Now if we were making them, then we fire a few more up there. But we just weren't hitting as we normally do. So I thought the guys did a good job of adjusting and adapting. And even Lamar, like he didn't just keep settling. He didn't shoot 16 threes. He went and got fouled. He went and got to the rim. So I thought it was good by him to kind of take that adjustment to the game.
Alec and Trevor.
Yeah, Coach, can you just talk a little bit about Josiah Miles? Obviously continues to play a more important role for you guys moving forward. 25 minutes tonight, a season high. Just specifically his defense and the energy that he brought to you guys.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. His roles continue to expand here. He's coming in, giving us good energy. He gives us some length on the defensive end. He's been trying to go to the glass. He had a big offensive rebound in there. I don't think we converted on it, but he went and got a big play there for us. So, he's doing good things. Again, that length and athleticism, ability to go rebound is something down the stretch we're going to continue to use.
Yeah, Darren, Wisconsin got 14 offensive rebounds, but none in the final 5 minutes of regulation and 0 in overtime. What was the difference between, earlier in the game and then late, and how much of a factor did that play in the win?
Yeah, it felt like they got like 10 of them in a 5-minute stretch right before that. So I thought the guys did a better job. We were, they were taking a lot of long shots, long rebounds that we talk about all the time, and our guys were going to crash, but they, something we don't really want them to do in terms of just running underneath the rim. And a few of those long shots came off, deep, and we weren't able to get them. I thought they did a better job that last 5 minutes of really going and finding bodies before they went and ran to, go retrieve it.
Yeah, Darren, as Wisconsin closed the gap and got back in the game second half, you kind of opted to let the team play through it, didn't call any timeouts to try to stop their momentum. I guess just what's your thinking in that in terms of just, letting the game keep going, letting them try to play through it versus trying to bring everybody together and slow it down?
Yeah, it depends maybe a little bit how the game is going, how they came back. Did it happen fast? Is it slow? Is there media coming up? Whatever. I thought in our guys, like they understand what we're trying to do, so if it's a timeout, a lot of times it's just to give them a rest, and maybe we could have used one in there somewhere, and have to go back and look more at the tape to see if there might have been a spot for us to do that. But, overall, I trust those guys when they're out there. They know what we're trying to run. They know what we're trying to get, and like I said, we'll see where we're getting the shots we wanted, or not. But it felt like we had a few good looks and opportunities in there. We just didn't make them.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you all.
So there's Darren DeBreeze during his post-game press conference. I liked it, kind of what he talked about with just finding other ways to score. I checked while the press conference was going on, and yes, indeed. In fact, it is the fewest amount of three-pointers attempted in a game this season. The previous low was 24. Which happened a couple of times. It happened against Incarnate Word. It happened against Alabama A&M. It happened against Kentucky. So there were a couple of games, but the five, only the Kentucky game in which Indiana was 4-24 from three. That was the only game in which they had a lower number of made threes, 5 of 22 from beyond the arc today. And yet they found a different way to win. And being able to adjust on the fly and get your team to adapt like that is extraordinarily important, because that's really a testament to that team and the senior leadership of that team, of being able to take, to get it through their heads that the threes aren't going. And yeah, you still want to be able to make them. And if they're there, go ahead and take it, but don't try to force it. And I think that's something that they did a nice job with, because I felt there were times in this one when Nick Boyd from Wisconsin was really kind of forcing things a little bit, and they weren't going, but it was a little bit too much me time, I think, for him, and it kind of hurt his ball club a little bit. By the way, I hadn't mentioned that Tayton Connerway was out of the game reportedly with an illness. So he was not part of the equation today. That's where, as the season goes on, sometimes you can get a knock-on benefit when bad things happen. The Hoosiers are used to playing without Tatum Connerway, so it wasn't a huge adjustment when he was out of the lineup. And so being able to battle through that, I think, was really important. Picking up the experience of playing together in an overtime situation is something the Hoosiers picked up a couple of games ago. And when they knocked off UCLA in double OT. So building on those things are really important. The Hoosiers moved to 6-8 overall, 7-6 in Big Ten play. And more importantly, they've won 4 of their last 5. And after going on a 4-game skid, to bounce back and win 4 out of 5 is extremely important, especially when one of those wins was Purdue. Now, of course, you have Oregon coming up on Monday, 8:30 tip-off time on that. They're also going to be honoring the 75-76 undefeated team that day as well, so really important. Should be some nice energy for that game. But Oregon's not very good this year. That's a game that Indiana should win, which would then at that point move them to 17 wins. And then you follow that up with Illinois and Purdue on the road. Both those on the road, those are going to be a challenge. But you do have some opportunities to get to 20 wins when you're talking about just the games where Indiana, should have the edge. Oregon, Northwestern, Minnesota here, Columbus, Ohio State on the road. Well, hell, you get through Oregon, Northwestern, and Minnesota, you're at 19. 20 wins is an important number, especially in the Big Ten, because you get 3 more wins and you got 10 wins in the Big Ten. That goes a long way as well. 812-393-2600 is the number. Saturday afternoon, a nice Saturday afternoon at that. Lines are open, but we won't go ahead and beat a dead horse if nobody wants to talk about the game. I'm okay with that. This is, I don't understand some of these things that, there you go. I'm sorry, I'm see a lot of things in real time, and I'm seeing some tweets about that it was absolutely a foul, but it was on the Wilkerson play, not the Enright play. The Enright play is there. The Wilkerson play, I thought that was a foul, and it was fine. But like I said, the travel is terrible, and the no call on that went Indiana's way. The Enright call went Indiana's way, and again, all I'm looking for is get it right, regardless of whether Indiana benefits or doesn't. Get the call right, and that to me is really critical. Indiana 78-77 winners against the Badgers, and now you get into a interesting string of games, but you got something to build off of. And that is a huge part of the equation. And as the season goes on, each guy is getting a little bit more confidence. He's having his moment in the sun. You're building a team. Obviously, we're getting now towards, we're into the second week of February. So you should be playing your best basketball about now. This is where you got to lock in. And, I was talking to somebody before the game about Indiana basketball and where this program has been basically for the past 20, 25 years. And the idea of having some joy with the basketball team, not necessarily just in terms of wins and losses, but in how they play, the connection you have to the players, everything that goes along with it. That isn't always easy to find, hasn't been easy to find. The last team where really a lot of people were really joyous about watching basketball and look forward to the basketball games probably was Crean's second Big Ten championship team, and that was 10 years ago now. It isn't to say that they you don't like Indiana winning or watching it, and you get joy out of that. But I just there's something that has been kind of missing, and we've think about when you watch IU football, the past 2 years especially. It's not all about winning and losing, but it is about connection to players and being invested in the players. And it's tough to invest in players that are here for 1 year and you know they're not going to be here next year and you want to see out of them. You're rooting for them because they're wearing your uniform, not the uniform that you cheer for. Is it out of habit as much as anything else? Somewhat. But is there a huge connection? Wins like this builds that connection over time. You don't have a ton of time left with this team, but it does build the connection, and so you could think about Enright picking up that foul call. Whether I feel it actually was or not, he got the call, and so that benefited Indiana. People will remember that kind of play. Lamar Wilkerson, the same way, just knocking down shots. You feel that connection with certain guys. Wins like this over Wisconsin, over UCLA a couple of games ago, over Purdue, especially as the entire fan base has turned toward basketball after the football season and everything that went into that. I think that's all a huge positive. And I also think it helps build that connection with Darren DeBreeze as a head coach to pull out these wins because it shows that the different ways that he has to play are effective. And being able to get the most out of a team is incredibly important. But Indiana 78-77 winners over the Wisconsin Badgers here at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They have now moved to 16-8 overall, 7-6 in Big Ten play. Oregon is up next on Monday. That should be a win. We'll see how the Hoosiers come out and play in that one and if they're able to knock down threes and start to build some confidence there. I'm about to wrap up when we just get a caller coming on in. So, caller, if I have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Yeah, this is Bill from Blue Lake. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bill. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. I guess my biggest question going into February, March is this kind of a sign of a pattern for the team on just finding ways to close out games? I'm on both sides of the issue. I mean, they find ways to do it, but they give us heart attacks in the meantime.
Yeah, that's something Darren DeBreeze talked about, and actually Connor Enright and Sam Alexis both talked about as well, that they would prefer to not have to rally to come back, especially when you have a 14-point lead. And it's just finding that consistency of 40 minutes, I think that is going to be the key. Indiana has had some lulls in most of their games to where that level of activity kind of falls a little bit and allows teams to get back in it. These are veteran guys. They should be playing with a sense of urgency, but just finding that consistent effort hasn't been as easy as maybe they would like. And to me, can you find that? For sure. But you are running out of time to find any kind of consistency with it. At the very least, they've been able to go ahead and, even after leads have slipped away, they've shown the willingness to battle and win the game. But it is one of the things that was mentioned in the press room was IU turned what should have been an easy win into something much harder, but at least they got it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an anomaly, right? I mean, they are gritty and find a way to win and somehow figure it out. But at the same time, I think the maturity that will continue, I think if they can figure out a better game plan defensively, they won't have to be in that situation as much. Well, I think that's probably like the big goal for them. If they can find a way to defensively hold on to leads, that will be huge for them.
Oh, for sure. And, in the first half, I thought that they played very solid defensively. They did a great job, and then they came out in the second half, and especially early in the second half, that awareness slipped, that communication slipped, and that's exactly what we're talking about, is just finding that consistency. And, the fact that once you get to overtime, things did change for the Hoosiers, as in overtime, you didn't have an offensive rebound by Wisconsin. They just are able to attempt 4 shots. Indiana attempted 8. It turned back on when they needed it most, but you would love to avoid having to go through all of it to begin with.
Yeah, and I think if, they get into the tournament and play teams who are sound efficiently and defensively too, it's going to be harder to just run a guard down the middle of the floor and survive. It's going to be difficult. So, but I'm impressed that they have found a way to win, and I appreciate your time and for the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, I'll always stick around for one caller here. Lines are open if you want to join us. 812-393-2600 is the number. I'll say this much, too. Success for this season, what does it look like? Well, obviously, the bare minimum that I think most IU fans see as a standard for this program is getting to the NCAA tournament. Be competitive, always fight, but also get to the NCAA tournament. It is a situation where Indiana hasn't, I believe over the past 15 years, they haven't gone more than they have gone. That's where the program is. That is what life is like for Indiana basketball. That consistent year-over-year guarantee of going to the tournament hasn't been the case. You had Mike Woodson here, and, during those years, let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about that. Let's go back just a little bit and go back to the Tom Crean era, because we could look at the different seasons that the Hoosiers have had. Obviously, during Bob Knight's time, going to the tournament was a no-brainer. They went year over year over year over year over year. Mike Davis comes in, his first 3 years. You have three trips to the NCAA tournament, including one to the title game. They miss the NCAA tournament the next couple of years. Then they lose in the second round in Davis's last year, which means they won a game in the NCAA tournament. Calvin Sampson comes here. They're going to the tournament. So that's kind of the standard. But obviously everything fell to hell after Sampson had the mess. You had to destroy the program to rebuild it. And then Tom Crean missed the NCAA tournament the first 3 years of his time. Went for 2 years, missed one, went for 2 more years, NIT. That standard is still there of going to the NCAA tournament as bare minimum. NIT is not anybody's what anybody's interested in. So Archie Miller takes over, and he doesn't go at all. Probably would have gone in the COVID season, but obviously that got canceled. But still, you can't go to one NIT and no other postseason along the way. And then Mike Woodson goes to the NCAA tournament, but then the last 2 years, it's mostly 500 in the Big Ten, doesn't go to the NCAA tournament. So going to the tournament in a first year with a roster that had to be put together, and we could all agree this is not the most talented roster in the Big Ten or anywhere close. This is a team with some definite warts. But getting to 7-6 on the season, winning some of these games is really, really important for everything that Indiana has done. So as far as I'm concerned, getting to the NCAA tournament with this team does feel like it would be a success. Even if they're bubbling in. First year, getting things, a foundation set, I feel like that would be success. Doesn't make if they miss it a failure. Because I see what Darren DeBreeze is trying to do, and I do think it'll be a very attractive way to play basketball. But that is to me, and getting to the NCAA tournament makes a huge difference. Kelly on the chat says the team feels connected, and they like they are actually enjoying themselves out there. I disagree with you a little bit on that. At times they do. But there are times when you don't feel that. Hoping things, the turning point for them, and they have found their groove and can sustain this energy and play. I agree with that completely. Because you're on a run, and this is it, fellas. For most of them, they're seniors. You want to finish strong, so you damn well better bond now because you're running out of time for it. That 2-game stretch coming up here, where they have to go to Illinois and to Purdue, are really, really critical games. Really critical games. And it's actually a stretch where you play Illinois, Purdue, Northwestern here at home, and then Michigan State here at home. Three of those 4 games are really going to be some tough, interesting games, and Indiana's mettle is going to be proven when they should be playing their best basketball. That's what they need to do. They have beaten Purdue here, and they match up well with Purdue. Can they take it on the road? That, to me, is going to be the question. Last call for phone calls. Gorgeous Saturday afternoon. It's warmer than it has been in a while. So, I understand people going. Hopefully, Nick Bykoff is at his show choir competition today. Killing it. Haven't gotten any updates from my wife, Lauren, but hopefully he's doing fine. Good luck to Nick. Fair warning to all the drivers in Ellettsville. He did get his driver's permit, so sidewalks are not safe. So just a heads up to everybody who lives in Ellettsville. But he is he's happy competing. Indiana was happy competing. The fans seem to be happy competing. Little odd energy at Assembly Hall today. Early on, late arriving crowd. Everything seemed muted early. It picked up over time. So that's a positive as well. Indiana's hot start helped that and built that energy. This is a program in the offseason. I think we need to take a real deep dive in everything that goes along with this program, because it has been so long since there's been a high level of success that that blend of the way younger people view the program versus the way an older generation views the program versus the reality of the program on the ground here in Bloomington and the perception of the program everywhere else. Those are all things that I think it's going to be real important in the offseason to explore, and I'm looking forward to doing just that. But at least for one Saturday at Simon Scott Assembly Hall, Indiana, 78-77 winners over the Wisconsin Badgers. The Hoosiers score a critical win. They'll be back on the court on Monday. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier. Hold on. Reed says, cheer up, Ken. Look, we're done back, but we're competing and all that. And then he just retracted his message. So that's okay. Let me close. I'm not upset about the team. It's not about cheering up. It's not. It's just about analyzing what the reality is of Indiana basketball. We know where it can be, and I think Darren DeBreeze could be a guy to help it get where it needs to go. I'm not doom and gloom with this program. I'm really not. But that is something that there's definite room for improvement and definite signs that things are improving. I'll put it that way. That's all the time we have on the Peegs Postgame Live. I want to thank you for listening, and I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best on IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.